the top of the Liver buildings. It wasn't until we seen a letter to Brezhnev that we realised the Liver building had eggs. There was 4 big domes on the top. We go, no, look, the bird's got eggs. So it showed us aspects of the city that we'd never set eyes on before. And the red and black, Liverpool is a Scorpio city. That's when they give the charter to Liverpool in 1207. Well, what was overhead in the heavens at the time? Scorpio was rising. So it's a scorpionic city. So we understand life and death. The minute they say, you know, it's over, well, we come back and butt the gob off you, you know. And that's another little funny moment in a lesson to Brezhnev. You know when they're in the chippy and he goes, "Fucking communistic asses." And he's trying to butt the gob off him and he keeps missing. So all that natural aggression we've got, other people, if you was looking at us from out of space, you'd swear we were going to bash at each other. What you think of me? And we
it's a wonderful performance by Alfred Molina.
Yeah, tell him about Fred.
No, it's a fantastic performance because, of course, he doesn't have a single word in English.
One
in the whole movie. So that's brilliantly written by Frank.
One word.
And totally convincing, of course, has gone on as well to be incredibly successful.
Yeah.
And one of our great character actors. It's nice to see him so young now and so on, rather than like Dad in education. But no, it's lovely when you see roles written like that where they don't actually say anything. Well, there's a little bit of Russian, but they don't say anything in English through the whole movie, and you still love them, and you know what they're thinking and what they're doing.
Yeah, you could see it all coming through.
That's another great thing about the film, though, is although the cast from the Liverpool end with Margi and others is very strong, the casting director made some good choices there in the 2 male leads. Because I don't know how early in now from Molina's career it is, but I mean,
he'd done the first big movie where he gets murdered with all the spiders on that. What was it? Oh, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Okay.
That was his first thing he'd done. Frank cast Peter Firth because we used to know Peter Firth's wife, Maya Sendall. And when Frank had asked Peter would he play in a Lester Brezhnev, Peter Firth had just done a Tobe Hopper movie, a £14 million budget movie. And Frank asked him, he said, well, would you play the lead in this film for us? And he thought we were just running around Liverpool with a Super 8. He didn't think for a minute that it was going to be so well executed and a massive hit the way it was. But good on him, because he could have turned around and high status and went, no, you know, I'm off the big movie, I'm not going to come anywhere near your production. And the same with Fred Molina. And they give a certain gravitas to it, a certain weight to it. You know, and people think they're real Russians. How many times they said to me, where did you find them Russians?
That's what good acting is.
Good acting. And Neil Cunningham, do you know the guy who plays the foreign officer? Well, we've lost him as well, another brilliant actor. He loved Liverpool, couldn't get enough of it. He really couldn't.
What happened to the actor who played Brezhnev?
Shake hands. It's Shake Hands, isn't it? What's his name now? He's got an unusual name as well. Iggy.
Shake Hands is an unusual name.
And that made me burst out laughing. Just little tiny subtle touches. You know, you look at the Russian, you know, the Brezhnev, and you see the secretary sitting there, don't you? All hatchet-faced. And it's, take a letter, Miss Jones.
It's like, that's a Bond kind of homage.
It's like a Bond homage. And as you pull away from that shot, you think you're looking at Russia, at Moscow. It's not, it's Birkenhead. it's Birkenhead. So, the way it played in Cannes, you know, we went to Cannes. I was sitting next to Mel Gibson, watching that film. And I was fascinated with Mel Gibson, because he reminded me from someone from Scotland Road, you know. He had a cow's lick. And me and Alexandra Pig, we got carried out of the cinema at Cannes. Unbelievable response. Because the world was desperate for it. We looked like we were on, you know, going to have a war with Russia. And people didn't want that. It's like say Iran today, all that, you know, anger against other people and the human beings like you and I. So it did do something really important. It softened the world, you know, the marketplace for Gorbachev's arrival. And it put a stop to the Rambo movies. All the Rambo movies were murdering loads of Russians. They were getting done in by the thousands in every Rambo film. They couldn't do that anymore.
Like you probably kind of mentor and tutor younger people, and I wonder what hope and inspiration you can give them to bring, which am I right, was the first really low-budget, successful movie?
Yeah.
And how can they get that funding today?
Well, it's a bit easier today in some respects because you've got organisations like Clapperboard, which Maureen has put the event together tonight, all done by Clapperboard, and she really is a one-woman show because she's taken that out to schools. When we did a Lester Brezhnev, we could cast actors from Liverpool. We couldn't cast crew. No one was trained. Nobody was trained. Or it would have went to Scousers. You know, if you have the choice, you'll always give it to your hometown. We couldn't do that. We had to get a London crew up. So today, it has moved on a bit in that Maureen is going out and you can make films at schools. Those little shorts that we're seeing, they're really important. But the biggest thing is, you've got to be Igor, the engine, yourself. That's the thing. No one's going to pull it for you. You've got to go out and do it yourself. And that, the way our Frank rose the money for the Lester Brezhnev, someone should make a film of that. It's amazing. You should do a film of that. We were all on the bones of our arse, and everyone in Liverpool was then. We were all in it together. No one had 2 halfpennies to call their own. There was no designer wear, there was no cocaine, and there was no drugs. Yeah? This is before all that happened, you know. And as I say, we had no money. Frank was squatting a tower block on, where was it, Frank? Arkwright Street. Yeah. Everton Brow. And he was squatting in the flat there. It was minty, yeah? And we were all in it together. And someone got in touch with Frank and he said, would you put this girl up for us? They didn't tell us the girl was a millionairess. And when she showed up in the flat, in the tower block, and we should have known she was a millionairess because she had a copper pot the size of my fist and a bar of chocolate as big as the table. And we gave her a great night. And Frank took her to the boat the next morning to wave her off. See ya. And she wrote a letter and she said, I'm so enamoured with the Scouse hospitality. Would you like to come to the Isle of Man for a week? Well, Frank had found out that she was Brewstered at this point. She's in the film, right? Everyone's in it. She's in the film. She's on the ferry boat. And he went to the Isle of Man. Her father was a gun-tooting colonel who shot the gold diggers. Frank has to get past him. So Frank took him out to dinner. And when the bill came, he said, Margie, I shit myself. He said, he has to go into the toilets to count out the brown money to cover the bill. And that man said to Frank, he read the script, and these were capitalists. These weren't people who were involved in show business. They didn't even have a cultural CV between them in any way, shape or form. They made Britain's back boilers. That's what they did. They put central heating in for everyone. Now, these people shouldn't have had any inclination. And he said to Frank, how much money do you want, Frank? So Frank pulled a fictitious amount out the air. He said, £50,000, please. He wrote it for him, there and then. And that was, without that money, we would have never have got going. And then at the end, this is where Nick come into it. We had, I think it was 5 weeks of the film in the can. It was a 6-week shoot.
Yeah, I can tell you.
Take over, Nick.
Yeah, you had five weeks, but Frank and everybody were very intelligent about it because they just sent us maybe 5 scenes, including that wonderful club scene, very funny stuff. And I still remember today, I was going to bed at about 1 o'clock in the morning. You know, my then wife had a headache.
So you wasn't getting anything that much.
So I said, look, I've got this kind of beaten up VHS tape, let's take a look at it. And we watched it together, these 5 scenes, and I thought to myself right then, I thought, if these are the only 5 good scenes in this picture, they're still a hell of a sight better than half the other films that we're distributing, and the audience are going to love it. And then when we eventually got involved in the film, all the other scenes were great as well, and surprising, and that, as I say, that mixture of romance and earthiness and humour and wit.
Well, you can tell when you come into the film, when your money and help came into the film, we was all really skinny up until that point. Yeah.
I was really fat.
You were fat, we were half-starved, and then we'd been paid. And the last shot of the film, that's why my gob's like that. Because we'd eaten. We'd eaten. And so it was massive. It was a very, very important input into the movie. It would have been great if we could have completed the lot on the money Frank had got off the Castletons, but that wasn't to be. But it meant then that it attracted people like Nick. And the one thing you haven't got in Britain, you've got great actors, you've got great writers, you've got really good directors, but there's no producers. Really thin on the ground. And
thin.
You will be when we let you go home. We'll weigh it out. But, you know, isn't that true, Rog? No producers.
Well, there are some, and I'm sure there are some in this room and probably some future producers. But I'm getting the that time-honoured winding up signal from the back of the hall.
Oh, we just got started.
You can see the back of the hall.
Well, we're going to Alma de Cuba. If anyone wants to come along, you know, we can all have a nice little drink together. Mine's a pinas colada, by the way. Nothing changes.
I'm sure you'd like to offer up your appreciation for the interesting comments and fantastic stories that we've heard this evening from Margi and Nick. Thank you both.
Frank.
Yeah. Hey, up, guys.